What we'll cover here is the application of law to business operations, and we'll focus on the topics of location and operation, products and services, promotion and pricing, and bankruptcy. Zoning laws are laws that restrict where you can and cannot do business. There are different zones depending on your government entity, whether it be local, county, or state. Basically, there are two types of zones, business and residential. There may be a few others. And within that, there may be different types of zones within the business zoning. So make sure that your business is in a specific zone so that you can conduct your business properly. Local blue laws are old traditional laws linked to some religious practice. In most cases, these laws have been deemed unconstitutional and most have been repealed. Some of them are still in place, mostly due to convenience. Certainly, like sale of alcohol being prohibited on Sunday still holds over, but most blue laws have been repealed. It's important to know what blue laws may be in place, so they may or may not affect your business practices. Then you have to consider a lot of different local ordinances, and this is just a matter of getting to know where you're doing business and what ordinances are in place. There are different fire codes, building capacities, animal laws, external signs and displays, and smoking. The ones you need to go and look at right away would be the fire code and building capacity. You need to understand if you're up to code with those. Unsure if you'll be working with animals, but there are certain laws and codes and ordinances that deal with animals. Some cities restrict how high you can place an external sign or how you can display that sign. And certainly some areas have absolutely no smoking, some are smoking restricted. So just get to know the laws locally and you'll do just fine. There are also many laws to consider when you discuss personnel related to fair employment practices, equal opportunity employment, and civil rights law. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employment discrimination based on color, race, sex, religion, or national origin. And since that time, it's been widened substantially. It includes now age, sexual orientation, and various ability levels. It's important to realize that discrimination can happen in a number of instances within your business during the hiring or firing phase, compensation of the employee, classification of employee, when and how you transfer, promote, lay off, or recall employees, where and how you advertise for jobs and how you recruit for those jobs, the various testing that you may make employees do, whether it's a written test or a skills test. Then how different employees may or may not use company facilities, equipment, or programs, how you distribute fringe benefits, all other kinds of things. Basically, what you want to do is make sure that everything is equal for all employees, that you do not discriminate in any capacity against any employee. To kind of wrap it up here, you want to make sure that your employees have equal time on the clock and off the clock. You want to make sure that they're given a full day of work, if that's what they're contracted to do. If you schedule them for 4 hours, you give them 4 hours of work. Also give them breaks where appropriate. This may be different depending on where you live. Different local or state ordinances or laws may be more stringent than the federal laws. And also understand that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration is a federal agency of the U.S. government, and it regulates workplace safety and health, and people can report your business into OSHA if need be. Intellectual property rights are often important to recreation businesses. Intellectual property law is made up of subgroups of laws, each governing specific types of intellectual property. These subgroups include copyrights, patents, trade secrets, trademarks, and a few others. The purpose of these laws is to protect your business's information, such as inventions, creative works, or identifying images and marks. Next, we'll talk about product safety laws. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, the CPSC, is an independent agency of the United States government. The CPSC has the power to develop safety standards and pursue recalls for products that present unreasonable or substantial risk of injury or death to consumers. The CPSC can also ban a product if there is no feasible alternative, such as if a recall will not work. it may be important to know that the CPSC is excluded from jurisdiction that may lie within other federal agencies, such as the U.S. Food and Drug Administration with food and drugs, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives with firearms and ammunitions. These things fall under the jurisdiction of other entities, so the CPSC would not be responsible for the understanding and developing information related to the risk of those products. The Federal Trade Commission, otherwise known as the FTC, is an independent agency of the U.S. government. The FTC was established in 1914 by the Federal Trade Commission Act, and its principal mission is the promotion of consumer protection. But the FTC also helps prevent anti-competitive business practices, such as coercive monopolies. It encourages labeling laws and truth in advertising, and helps reduce deceptive business practices. The name Green River Ordinance is given to a common city ordinance prohibiting door-to-door solicitation. Basically, it makes it illegal for any business to sell their items door-to-door without the permission of the household. Cooling off laws are laws pertaining to newly entered contracts. It allows both sides of the party at the time, after the contract has been signed, to release themselves from any obligations without penalty. Finally, the Better Business Bureau, otherwise known as the BBB or the Triple B. The BBB was founded in 1912. It's a nonprofit organization focused on advancing marketplace trusts. It collects and provides free business reliability reviews. It's done so for over 4 million businesses to date. It also serves as an intermediary between consumers and businesses. It handles nearly 1 million disputes every year. The BBB also alerts the public to scams, provides reviews of advertising, and it may assist you when you're donating to different charities. The Robinson-Patman Act of 1936 is a federal law that prohibits anti-competitive practices by businesses, specifically price discrimination. However, in the late 1960s, federal enforcement of the act ceased. Since then, there's been a number of attempts to repeal the act, but have been unsuccessful. On the other hand, over 20 states now have price discrimination statutes similar to this act. Unit pricing refers to how much an item costs per unit. It tells you the cost per pound or cost per liter of what you want to buy. Just divide the total cost of the item by the quantity that's in there. This helps for easier comparison when comparing products. Sales laws are also in place, and this requires an actual real price reduction. If you're going to say it's on sale, the price that the consumer is paying has to be reduced, actually be reduced. Next, we'll talk about bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is the legal status of an insolvent person or organization, that is, one that cannot repay their debts owed to creditors. In most jurisdictions, bankruptcy is imposed by a court order. Sometimes bankruptcy is voluntary, which is owner-initiated. Sometimes it's involuntary, which is creditor initiation. Chapter 7 is a specific type of bankruptcy. Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection allows debtors to get rid of most of their debts and start over with a clean slate, but it also has drawbacks, including the loss of property and a depressed consumer credit score. In the Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the business ceases operations, sells all the assets, and distributes the proceeds to the creditors. If there's anything left over, it's returned to the owners of the company. In Chapter 11, though, in most cases, the debtor remains in control of its business and operations as a debtor in possession and is subject to the oversight and jurisdiction of the court. Under Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the debtor proposes a plan to repay his creditors over a 3 to 5 year period. The plan is all written down, how everything will occur, and the repayment begins 35 to 45 days after the case is started. During this time, the creditors cannot attempt to collect on what is owed, the debt. In general, the individual gets to keep their property, and the creditors end up with less money than they would, where the amount given to the debtor continue to collect interest.